Our series, Issues That Matter, this morning takes a closer look at America's longest war. We are approaching the 17th year of the conflict in Afghanistan. It was launched on October 7, 2001, in response to the September 11th attacks. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis told the Senate committee last month the United States is not winning the war. The Trump administration is reviewing its policy on Afghanistan. In comments last week, President Trump said, quote, "I want to find out why we've been there for 17 years. Joining us now to talk about the challenges, Michèle Flournoy. She served as Undersecretary of Defense for Policy under President Obama from 2009 to 2012. She is a co-founder and CEO of the Center for a New American Security. Michèle, good morning.
Good morning.
Why are we still in still in Afghanistan?
You know, I think first of all, the Taliban has proven a very resilient insurgency. They have support from Pakistan. They have support from outside countries. We've had an Afghan government that has been very weak and really plagued by corruption. And we, too, have made mistakes. Between 2003 and 2009, remember, all of the attention and the resources and the leadership switched to focus on Iraq. And we sort of kept Afghanistan as a back burner
So when we
issue.
invaded Iraq, we put the seeds of a continued stay and perhaps losing Afghanistan.
Yes, and then when President Obama came in and launched the surge in 2009, that was important to regaining momentum, but he also announced that that surge would only last a short while, about less than 2 years. And so the Taliban had the signal, you know, we can just wait this out.
So is anybody winning here, do you think? And is there a clear end game that you can see?
It's really a stalemate at this point. And the good news is that the Afghan forces are in the lead, and with our support, they continue to hold their own. But they do need our continued support. I think we need to reinforce them with additional enabling capabilities like intelligence and fire support and close air support and so forth. But the real issue here is a political strategy. How do we use that leverage of additional troops supporting the Afghans to actually get the Taliban to the negotiating table? Nobody's going to win this on the battlefield. It has to get to some kind of negotiated solution.
We're doing this series because Afghanistan may not be on the front page, but this really matters. First of all, how much territory does the Taliban control now compared to 9/11?
It controls more now than it did when we first started the war.
The Taliban controls more territory.
So yes, so it is. There's definitely been a backsliding, but what you see is an Afghan military that is stepping up, that is in the lead, and that continues to improve with our help.
The headlines this morning and some of the reporting at CBS News: is Russia now rearming the Taliban?
So we have evidence that Russia is providing small arms to the Taliban, also Iran. And so we have this problem of outside support.
The irony of that is that we supported the Mujahideen who were trying to kick Russia out of Afghanistan years ago.
Right. And so I think all of the outside powers are hedging their bets. They're trying to be friendly with the Taliban in case the Taliban wins. It's also a great opportunity to poke the United States in the eye.
So what should we be doing that we're not doing?
So what I think we want to see coming out of the Trump administration is a very clear statement of commitment. Look, we have to remember, why are we there? We are there because we don't want Afghanistan to once again become a safe haven for terrorists that could strike the United States. It could be the return of al-Qaeda, but now it could also be the coming of the Islamic State, who's already been probing in Afghanistan to see if they can find some ground. The last thing we want is ISIS to pick up and move from Syria to Afghanistan because we're not pushing back hard enough.
This issue is on Trump's desk right now.
Yes.
Sitting before him is a recommendation from the Defense Secretary James Mattis to increase the number of troops in Afghanistan. What will he do?
Well, I think
what should he do?
There's a big debate inside the White House between those who don't want him to touch this and who want to get us out of Afghanistan, and those who believe that we've got to double down, support the Afghans. I think the most important thing beyond the troop numbers is a political strategy. You have to have a broader strategy into which the military portion fits. You have to have a way to get the Taliban to the table. Nobody's going to win this on the battlefield.
This is the State Department.
It is said that McMaster's and Mattis have influence with the president, especially Mattis. What does he want?
I think he wants more troops and a political strategy that leverages those troops to get to some kind of negotiation.
Where are the Iranians who have not looked on favor on the Taliban and have considered the Taliban enemies?
I think that Iranians are sort of playing both sides. They support aspects of the government, they support aspects of the Taliban, and they're waiting to see what happens.
You spent several years in the Obama administration. What do you think the Trump administration could learn from what you learned at the time that you were there?
I think the biggest lesson is
And are you talking to them, Michèle?
Well, you know, I always send them what we write and say, but who knows if that's read. But I think the most important thing is the U.S. has to signal a long-term commitment to Afghanistan as a partner for fighting terrorism in the region. If there's any waffling, any sense that we're not fully committed, the Taliban will continue to wait us out. And the partners in the region won't take the necessary risks to pressure the Taliban to come to the table.
The Trump administration has also turned to the Blackwater CEO, Eric Prince, about a private army, a mercenary army. How would that work?
Not very well. I think contractors can do very important missions, base support, logistics, and so forth. But we saw in Iraq what happens when you rely on them too extensively. Huge problems with Blackwater, massacring Iraqi civilians in a firefight in the middle of the city. We don't want to go there again. The truth is the U.S. military is in an advisory mission that they can do best. They can use support from contractors in limited areas, but it's no substitute for putting in the troops we need to support the Afghan
I think it's good that you were here to remind people why we were there in the first place, because I think it's been so long, many people have forgotten the original intent.
And that return of a safe haven, unfortunately, could happen. And so we have to keep the pressure on the terrorist groups in that region.
Just aside, I go to a lot of conferences where they talk about national security policy, and one of the people they really listen to is Michèle Flournoy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.